Hello, all. How are you? Today is September 11th. I think we're probably just going to go about 20 minutes because the news is the news. And excuse me. Hey, William. Good to see you in the chat. Uh, yeah, we're going to have a super short one today just because it's September 11th. And I generally don't really want to mess with the day. I don't watch a lot of television, especially on the day, and I don't really normally we look up current affairs and news. Can't really do that without stumbling across a million op-ed pieces and presidential speeches and photo ops and everybody's personal stories from ground zero. Yeah, it's all over the place. Uh, so I was just working on my Travis picking today, playing a little guitar, and that's it. Hold on. When sunset? Sunset will be at 7:17 p.m. today. Oh Lord. 7:17. All right. Do we want to cut this light on? Let's do it anyway. Uh this is the point where I wish I was a better musician that I could play something. Uh oh. So it doesn't really do much but help me because the room feels dark to me. But I've got the light coming directly now. I cut this on and it's just that's really for me just to not doze off in this dark room. Rolling Stones for man. I saw that. I saw that, and I was thinking he's the second famous person that's died at home, and people didn't want to tell us, right? So the guy Trevor Moore from Kitchener Hall apparently fell out a window at his house at like 2 in the morning, and they suspect he was drinking and fell out the window and got landed on his head and his neck and got these really bad injuries. And he died. Um, and now this guy, how do you die digging a grave for your dog? I mean, if you hit a pipe with the shovel and cause an explosion, the story would be dies in an explosion at because the big thing is the explosion. That doesn't happen every day, right? If it was gas and didn't explode, they would have still told you hit a gas main. So the idea that if it was a natural thing where he was digging a hole and he had a heart attack from stress, they tell you that. What is the accident while digging a hole? Did he hit his foot with the shovel and bleed to death? All of this is really bizarre to me. Died at home, and then the first thing everybody asks for is privacy. Another beachgoer in 2014 died while digging a hole in the sand. Danger of sand caves in. Okay. Sand collapses kills 9-year-old girl in Oregon Beach. Yeah, why would you let your kid dig a hole that deep? Duh. All right. Tour manager, right? All right. So freak accident. What is the freak accident? He begs him back. Who knew it was important to be kind, be so cool? Okay, they never tell you what he died of. They tell you his. Yeah. All right. Well, no one ever wants to tell you. That's the thing. Yahoo's gonna have a paragraph. How do you die digging a hole? He was older. He was 73. What does this say? His wife told President that Mick was helping dig a grave of the family's pet dog. An accident occurred. He was taken to the hospital at Santa Rosa where he died. Santa Rosa. All right. Um True. That's true. I'm sitting here thinking that maybe he's got a shovel, but you're right. It could have been a backhoe. Digging a wow. Well, Godspeed on your journey, homie. Digging a hole for your dog. I don't. Yeah, I guess a backhoe, but do you need a backhoe to dig a hole for your dog? Yeah, I think. Look, this is it. You don't want bears to come and dig up your pet. That's why you bury people 6 feet deep, right? That's a lot of digging. It masks the smell. You're more just become worm food and moist, and then part of the soil that you're buried under first is being a foot or two down. So if you're gonna bury your dog, I would dig a hole at least 4 feet deep, at least 4 feet deep, and then fill it in. No one's gonna dig 4 feet. No animal's gonna dig 4 feet. Uh, and it doesn't have to be 4 feet wide, by it could just be right. Otherwise, you just get dug up and then scattered all over the place. Oh, excuse me. Oh man. Um, we weren't gonna stream today, but we wanted to keep our streaming streak running. I was looking up Simpsons stuff online. Called my sister and my mother. Got to do that. And was looking for a book to read. Well, yeah, he's not going to be buried in his backyard though. Those days are over. That was last century where you could be buried in the family plot on your own property. Now they consider that a health hazard. Remember, 100 years ago, everybody was born in their house, right? I guess about like that ended about 1920, and now everybody goes to a hospital, and where you get all these bills. Um, Unless you happen to be born in the car on your way to the hospital, then you save $10,000. uh, but yeah, he won't be. And I don't think they let you get buried with your dog anyway. There are people cemeteries, and they don't. Otherwise, people would be getting buried with their horse. You know how people are. Some people are ridiculous. Um, I found out that I had a cousin who passed away from COVID. She didn't get the shot, and I feel bad. Black sorority members speak about. Here's my thing about sororities. These Greek sororities, I don't understand why black people want to be involved in them. You're not Greek, but it's part of the college experience. So you come up with your own faux Greek authority, right? Uh, just name yourself something that isn't Greek. Or these, you know what I mean? I don't. I think people need to really think about this. Racism has really become. I feel uncomfortable at your party, and it shouldn't have been that. It's always we can do it ourselves. Let's do it ourselves. Just don't attack us and stop people from killing us and blowing up our churches and lynching us and all this shit. That's what it was. It wasn't about and all the public stuff like let me ride if I can pay the fare, I can sit where I want stuff. Is different from what's going on now. So whatever, excuse me, whatever is going on now uh, is about elections and getting people to vote for you and saying people treated me badly, so it must be racism. I'm like, man, people don't have to tolerate. Well, that's not true. People do have to tolerate you. It's under the law, but people don't have to humor you. And the whole society is about humoring everybody for all sorts of a manner of things and not actually fixing the problem, right? So now racism is about, like I said, this woman feeling bad that her sorority didn't like her. No one's going to write a law for that, right? Go where you want it, but they can't turn you away from colleges. They can't stop you from getting business loans. That's what it was about. It's not about all this other. These people aren't being nice to me, invite me to the party, kind of thing. Woo wee! All right, I need a shave and a shave. The last time I shaved it, I got a couple of ingrown hairs. I was not feeling happy about it. All right, so today is September 11th, the 20th anniversary of one of the darker days that has happened in our country and just in my personal life. Easily one of the darkest days I can possibly remember. I had nightmares about it forever. Well, the one thing that I laugh about now is during this time, they lowered the flight ceiling over New York after September 11th, like in October. And every time you heard low planes, I would just kind of like, why would they, just wake me out even further? So, but now I smile about it because I'm just kind of like, only fucking politicians in New York would do that for whatever reason they did it. Um, but we move on. I was looking at there's a gentleman called the History Guy who has a YouTube channel. I was looking at what he said about the Slocum, which I knew this as being a native New Yorker, native New York City person. I knew about the Slocum disaster. There's a monument to it in Tompkins Square Park. And I was like, what is this monument? Because it's a water fountain there. I used to go skating, rollerblade through the place in my 19s and 20s and 30s, walking through the place with, a varying number of homies, girlfriends, or just going to business meetings or cutting through the park, right? Went out. So you see this sign, and you read about it, you know, Slocum, huh? Do you go and this is back when the internet was young and you just sort of looked it up and but it's lower Manhattan. It's different every 75 years, right? But all those people who died there, there's also a monument in Fort Greene about the Soldiers Memorial, right? So you're looking at these things, you go, oh wow, well, it's always something, right? Then before that, it was that happened. Then I think a few months later, or something, the Titanic happened, right? But then there was Pearl Harbor, right? And then so there's always kind of like this weird kind of crazy big event that sort of becomes sort of like a temple in your memory of things happening. Um, but yeah, I knew about that, and I was just kind of like, all right, well, people struggle through and and move forward, and that's what we're here to do, right? Have you heard about a man in a red bandana in the World Trade Center? No. What is this red bandana stuff? Why does he have a red bandana? Uh man, I got this ingrown hair, boy. It is ginormous. Uh That's quite frankly, that's it. I don't really have a lot to say. Red man in a red bandana at World Trade Center. Remembering the man in red bandana remains a symbol of human integrity. I've never heard of this. Wells Crone, Mason 711 was an American equities trader and volunteer firefighter known for saving as many as 18 lives. Class of World Trade Center. Remembering the man in the red bandana memorial. Saved by the man in the red bandana. But they all know who he is. Is this his picture? Young now hero and Bremer documenting man in the red bandana. Yeah, 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 man. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. A lot of people should be working on their freaking families and their, you know, business deal. Instead, they're not here because this ridiculous country and other ridiculous countries have made this environment where there's always going to be somebody doing something extra violent to random people. So yeah, I'm not crazy about our foreign policy, but fuck you for sneaking in and killing 3,000 people. Uh, and I wish we could have just solved it instead of leaving it like we did a few weeks ago, which I think is going to leave us open to more bullshit. He saved a lot of people. I got to tell you, uh, that's amazing. I've never heard of that. But you know what? I don't want to talk about September 11th, but when September 11th happened, I I could not stop watching the news for like 3 months. 3 months. Um, and then I had to kind of like cut cold turkey because it was making me fucking crazy. And then I didn't go back to ground zero until I left New York about 6 years ago. Why? I'm telling you, man. You don't. I mean, I guess it affects everybody differently, but it affects everybody. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. Uh, I didn't go to meetings or anything, but it will get out. It'll make you crazy. It will make you crazy. Uh, yeah. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to look at it. I don't. I want to acknowledge the day without listening to the speeches or watching it over again. What up? Um. Yeah, he sounds like an extraordinary young man. And that's the thing, right? No one. I don't think anyone expected those buildings to collapse, or a lot more people would have gotten out. But at the end, again, man, he saved a lot of people. Then he passed. We say I passed away. But he died there, right? I mean, they just identified two bodies this week who were unidentified for 20 years after this. So yeah, it's here's the thing. Pearl Harbor was an attack, a cowardly attack, but it was directed at military personnel. Over a city though, right? Still, but it was military personnel, and you killed some civilians. This was just people going to work. This was kids in daycare. This were guys who happened to be delivering soda to the high floors. There was a, a babies, a daycare center there, right? Just all these young people getting their shot at the brass ring and equities trader. So yeah, I think we were right to fucking knock their wig back. But at the same time, I think people took their eyes off the ball and it became about money and getting Pentagon contracts and sending toilet paper overseas to Iraq or to Afghanistan, wherever. And each roll of toilet paper was $30, and the government bought, 80 truckloads over the years for all these years every year, and you made $100 million off the government dole by sending over toothpicks for $3 a piece or whatever. And I think that's what happened. That's just my opinion. I think that's what happened. Al Qaeda determined to strike in the United States. Don't tell me you're shocked by it. It was a memo on your desk. So, yeah. You can't even. They all and all these elected officials have this, right? If we had a system more like, I hate to say it, but more like some of these countries where if you fuck up like that, you have to get out of government. There's a lot of people who would not be in American government anymore. Al Qaeda determined to strike in America. Yeah. It reminds me of George Washington crossing the Delaware, and they snuck up on. I want to say it wasn't Cornwallis. Who did they sneak up on when they crossed the Delaware? Anyway, the dude was hanging out with like all the loyalist rich ladies in Philadelphia, was it? And he had a note from his troops that some bullshit is gonna go on. You should read this note, and he just threw it in his pocket, and then went to the party, drank it up, and then like when George Washington dudes came and rushed the place, he was one of the one of the senior officers to die. And when they checked his body in his pockets, they found a note saying, "Hey, the Americans might be coming. You might want to do something about it." Wow. That could have went a whole different way if he decided to actually do something about it. They had a woman on TV who was speaking with her husband the second time when the first plane hit. She thought he would leave, but he did not make it. Yeah. I think everybody here's how it played out as I remember happening. A lot of people after it hit the first tower, a lot of people in the other building was like, "Oh my God, look over there!" and looking at it from their window and not leaving because they were like, "Oh, look, an accident." So a lot of people were looking at the plane from the not at the plane at the damaged building from the other building, not knowing that in about 5 minutes another building will hit them. Um, and all the internal structure, the staircase down, the elevators were all that was all severed and dismantled. So the people above couldn't get down the damaged floors, and the people below, uh, some weren't leaving, some left immediately, some were on high floors and they couldn't get an elevator down, so they had to walk. Some people were in wheelchairs. Some people were old and infirm. Some people had, so yeah, a lot of people were trying to help people out. Uh, yeah. Look, this is what, and everybody was calling 911, and the 911 operators were telling them to stay where they were, which was the protocol then. Stay where you are. The police are on their way. Stay where you are. The firemen are on the way. right? Because 99 times out of 10, we need to stay where you are. So when we get there, we can get your name, your photo, and your address, and tell us what happened, your witness, blah, blah, blah. I tell people all the time since that day, if something happens, get out of the building, right? If you smell smoke and fire and you can assess if it's in the stairwell or the fire escape, whatever, get out of the building, especially if you're on a low floor. If you're on the floor 7 or less, get out of the building. Just get out. You can always go back up later. I don't from because of this reason. I've been up to the World Trade Center, Windows on the World, the giant restaurant. And here's another thing about if you watch a Bill and Ted's, not Bill and Ted. I was looking at Bill and Ted today also. If you watch what's the movie where the guy is dead and they go to his beach house? Weekend at Bernie's. The first half of that movie is filmed in the World Trade Center. So you can see the interior of the building and the layout. You can see the windows. Yeah. I can't watch that movie anymore either. But what is that smell? Smells like paint. It smells like paint. That's amazing. Anyway, it can't obviously be paint because I'm not painting anything. Maybe someone's painting the hallway, but it's freaking Saturday. Why would they paint the hallway? It smells like not turpentine. Yeah, turpentine, like what you cut. Yeah. Anyway, uh, exactly, exactly. Can you imagine looking? So all of these reasons are why a lot of people stay. And on top of that, no one thought those buildings were going to explode. Look, I think Al Qaeda wanted to do some shit, and be like ah, ha ha ha, and then they succeeded in their wildest dream. They didn't think that they would succeed like that, and they knew almost immediately it was the end of them. You know what I mean? Um, and the shit just ended 20 years later, and people had to keep reminding, America to be moral about your warfare. Are you torching those people? What are you doing over there? Because look, I'm the guy I'd be like, gloves off. I'll pardon every single fucking one of you. Right? It's such an arrogant and wild and bullshit thing. And then we gave money, and then people just started bleeding money from the treasury and lying about who did what. And then we lost our way. We lost our way. There is no clarity, and the problem is still at hand. Um, yeah, the problem is still at hand. Uh, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Um, let's talk about something else. Oh man, I really wish I spoke about celebrities. I wish I had. I don't have anything else other than news in me. News and bad guitar playing. I'm not gonna torture you. I was sitting here thinking about playing. I'm not gonna torture you with it. Uh, but all these things happen. You put it in perspective, Slocum. And then, I like history. And the thing about it is everybody's got history, right? So America's a nice big place. Ugh, America's a nice big place. And you realize that wow, this there was a fire that happened here in the 1820s, and there was a thing that happened here in Chicago, and a thing that happened here in Seattle, and a thing that happened here in Florida, the thing that happened here in New York. And you realize 1904 General Slocum disaster. You realize, there's this sort of nonsense is always in our machine. List of Slocum dead now may reach 1,000 people. There's always something. I remember watching or reading a newsreel about Pearl Harbor and how they had to, when everything calmed down, they had to get a welding torch to cut through the bottom of the boat to get to the men because the boat was upside down. I was like, Jesus Christmas. You know how thick the bottom of a battleship is? And they were saying people were washing up on shore from this disaster for weeks, for months rather. Look at all the children. The General Circle disaster, June 15, 1904, one of the worst. Yeah, it's just horrible. Just about the time for, oh, I don't have you guys running up here. Just about time for cameras to come into play, right? I mean, look at this thing. I mean, you're on a boat. The fire start. I mean, look at this thing. Back when no one could swim, they just laid people out in the grass because there were too many people. That is amazing. Give me a second. What is that smell? Wow. I'm sorry about that. I had to get my whole this whole place smells like somebody's doing work in here with turpentine. And it's strong in here, but it's extra strong in the other room. It really is fucking with my nose. Prompted me to go, what is going on here? Hmm. All right. Well, Bruce Springsteen sang "I See You in My Dreams" at the service. Yeah, Bruce Springsteen. It is. I gotta tell you guys, this is amazing. It's a nice day. It's not hot, not cold, but no one's doing any work, so I don't really know why it smells like a chemical accident in the next room. Look at all the children. Yeah, yesterday I was reading what the country was like before the rise of certain like things like the mobsters, right? When let's say Al Capone was like 30 before he ran the place. Uh how it just was bad and kept getting worse and kept getting worse. And little wars and bad war, and then every now and then somebody will come consolidate big chunks of it. And the last consolidation was they killed this guy who ran a flower shop, uh, which prompted um, the Valentine's Day massacre, which then prompted one of the rivals to go, you know what, I'm gonna just sell you all my shit and I'm getting out of the gangster business. And that's what they did. So the last guy was like, "Up, me and you gonna fight?" I was like, "Nah, how about I just sell you all my drugs, not my drugs, but all my my bootleg routes and all my this and these are my guys and you're now the boss and there won't be any shooting because you run the shit, give me XYZ for everything, and I'm retiring to Florida. And Al Capone was like, all right, paid the dude his money. The dude was gone forever, never to be mentioned in crime again. Didn't do any jail time. Got to get away with his family, take him up. Got to kill a bunch of people, right? And then it was Al Capone's Chicago. Wow, I don't know what is going on in that room, but man, I'm gonna cut this light on. I am telling you, it smelled like somebody's using like spray paint. I'm sitting here thinking like I can solve it. There's really nothing I can do. It's not here, but it is floating through and messing with me. Anyway, uh surely, I mean, I haven't done a lot of gaming recently, sad to say. So I really can't talk about gaming. I try and keep all my mind frame out of like the negative shit that I can't fix, shit that just gives me nightmares. And 9/11 is one of those things. It gives me nightmares. It still gives me nightmares, and I can't change it anyway. I can be critical, but who can be critical? And I find that it's one of those things that being critical about is bad for you, right? Because you're going to run up against being critical of the police. You're going to run up against them and the people who support the police. It says 9/11 after all. You're going to run up against the families of the victims of 9/11 and those their supporters, right? You're going to run up against your government and what it, so it's just too many. It's too many hills to climb and too many armies to fight to really talk about 9/11. Um, Especially this close at end. It's only been 20 years, and I say only because some of the youngest people who lost fathers and mothers uh, are only 20 now, right? If they were 3 or 4, didn't remember what happened, but they were here. They didn't know how to tie their own shoes, right? So that's 23 at the most now. They're going to need another 20 years because, like they say, the ship of state turns slowly. All these things, right? And the people who are in charge of it are putting spins on it now because they're all around George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, right? But Joe Biden voted for some of this stuff. They're all still spinning it. Their votes, their all this. When they're all 70 or done, well, Biden is 70, but when Clintons and Bushes and Obamas are like 70, which is a one to say in about 20 years, right? Late 70s, let's go 25 years. Better yet, let's go 35, 40 years when they'll all likely be dead. Then people will begin to look at this without them or their handlers or people who wrote books about them or around them spinning the story, right? You're going to need to get about, what is that, 20 players plus another 15, 20, you're going to need like 45 years, right? So we won't know the after action report on this. Our grandchildren and children will. Just like we talk about Vietnam, right? Vietnam people was instantly angry about it immediately, but years and years later, people wrote books about it without uh, the Nixon people and like all these people who wrote stories back then. They were no longer around in like the mid 50s and 60s. They were out of government. They were out of the newspaper business. They were out of politics. And then you could have actually talk about it. Like one of those is our what's the word I'm looking for? Our interaction with South America, right? Um, People in like the 90s, late 90s, early to mid 2000s started actually writing books about who was really responsible after Pinochet was gone and all these other people and all the dictators we set up and all the people who were in the CIA and in the news business uh, helping them do it. But now that they're all gone or retired, no one ever pays the price, right? But they are retired and they don't have any minions who is going to sit up there and spin it, quite frankly, right? So this September, man, this September 11th, I think you're going to need another 35 years before people can sit up here. But I happen to think that people use this war like they always do to profiteer, which is a crime and no one has ever looked into. While other people are having affairs and not paying attention to, other people are just moving shoddy goods and cost cutting, not cost cutting. What is it? Cutting quality of stuff. Um, and before you know it, if you really want to look at the problems in your chain of 5,000 things, you'd have problems in like 3,000 of them. And then that just makes you look bad. Uh, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure that there was a 9/11 ceremony and they rang the bell, and I'm sure it was beautiful. They read people's names out. I'm sure. But I think what we really need is to make sure that people got treatment and stuff, and no, they didn't do that. All right. I can't believe I've never heard of Bandana Man. Hmm. 20 years live updates. Former President Joe Biden. Here's one thing I did notice about this 9/11 thing. George Bush wasn't there. Where was George Bush? I'm just curious. Sleep expert. And then they have all these angles on September 11th, the women of September 11th, and all this stuff. The children, the law. It's like you just you're just abusing it at this point. Um, because people could really tell you, man, I'm still struggling and I need help. Um, the media will go silent. Biden, former president, honors heroes' lives lost as nation marks 20th anniversary 9/11. But no comment saying George W. wasn't there. The Great Maritime Rescue of Long Island, of Lower Manhattan. All right. Police ambushed by violent career criminal with an automatic weapon in newly. Police ambushed by violent career criminal with automatic weapon in newly released video. I want to say I called this kind of behavior, right? Not that I'm taking the sides of the bad guy, but I'm saying Can you imagine if you were innocent and then someone could rig the books on you as a young person, sent you to jail? You got out of jail, uh, and now you can't find a job. So now it locks you into this. And you can actually trace back in your life where it all went wrong. And sometimes that's not, the harsh treatment that the laws and all these things, we know they target people. So the idea that nobody's ever going to be mad about that and want revenge, whether it's warranted or not, or will view you as the target for their animus, uh, is a thing. And this is happening a lot more. These lone wolf attacks on cops. And my whole thing is always, get rid of the bad cops. That'll ease this. But I mean, you want to make sure that the bad guy did it, and you want to make sure that you don't have bullies around to beat people up and disrespect people openly. But you know, once you do this, nobody can support you. Yep. Uh, should we even look that up? Hmm. Taliban fighters used whips against women protesting the all-male interim government. Yeah, beat them with whips. We told you this was going to happen. The summer after 9/11, a photographer documents of his. See, it's just all ridiculous by Obama and Clinton. Where was Bush? No one's asking. Someone will ask in a couple of weeks. Give it a couple of weeks. ER doctor overwhelmed by COVID patients fears we are only on the front edge of a wave. Well, that goes against what everyone else is saying, doctor. I hate to be the one to tell you that. Um, and we're back to Monica Lewinsky's fight to reclaim her story. It's been 20 years, sister. Reclaim her story. Here's the thing. The best take on this I've ever seen. I will mourn forever. Oh boy. The best take I've ever heard in this Monica Lewinsky thing is by Dave Chappelle. Right? Dave Chappelle essentially said she was young, she didn't know what she was doing, and then she made this mistake that sort of ruined her life. And my thing is this: um, even back then, I was like, "It's on you. You knew he was married, right? So now, how is the other woman ever not the bad guy in any of these scenarios?" Um, and now you're famous. So who wants to be like, yeah, this is my wife? Oh my God, why did you? Oh yeah, she was in a scandal with the. Oh right, okay, I got you. Who wants to keep doing that to 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 this whole system? So I feel bad for her. Um, I think it's impacted her deal, but I'm sure she's super rich, and that's the end goal, right? Uh, I don't know, Monica Lewinsky. There's always these women though. In the '70s, there was this famous woman uh, who slept with all the rock stars, and then in the '60s, there was this famous woman who was a call girl prostitute who wrote a book. Uh, all beautiful young women, scandalized by the time they were 28, able to turn it into lucrative careers or whatever about being like the women who slept around, right? Um, I think I don't want to say she should have leaned into it, but I think her trying to rescue it for 20 years is the problem. Look, look, nobody's saying people like sex fine, but America is still America, and people kind of like to be judgmental. Um, Yes. Let's look her up. Yes, dude, you know you are amazing. You pulled that out of your head. That is awesome. Wait, which Pam? Hold on. Exactly. Um, one girl. I'm trying to figure out which one this was. One girl was. Oh, here you go. She wrote that rock music scene in the 1960s and 70s. Right. She wrote that on with the band book. I'm with the band. Right. But the other woman I'm talking about was they made a book about her, the Happy Hooker. So every 10 years you get one of these people, 1975, 19, right? Um she was running around with oh, okay, here's her name. So this is her name. Yep. She was famous enough to get a movie in the 60s. Let's look her up. There you go. All right. So born is a Dutch former call girl, madam, and author. She's best known for her best-selling memoir, The Happy Hooker. Right. So there's always one of these people that sort of leans into it and will tell you saucy stories about this guy when no one else is supposed to be having sex images. Yeah. She's not completely unattractive, but she does have that European look to her. Um, this is the thing about of what I always say, right? It's the idea that sex is currency. I hate to be the one to say it, but pretty girls can get away with some stuff and get into some places just by being alluring and sexual. And then it goes so far, and then the girls who will be alluring and sexual and put out will go further than the girls who are just perpetually teasing. Right. So don't blame me, but as a guy watching this thing, this is a thing that you notice can go on. So then you take that and you layer that over Hollywood, California, where it's like you could stay a waitress here, or you could sleep with this guy to get a shot at the role. And if you do well at the role, then you live in giant mansions and private jets your whole life. Who wouldn't take it? Right. But now everything is like, I was a simple schoolgirl and oh, I don't know what happened. You're like, wow. And I think, like I said, I think Me Too has been used to like oust people, get women in these you mostly see in politics like Cuomo now has a lady governor. New York now has a lady governor. Uh, but by the way, I'm not saying Cuomo isn't a dirty dude. I think he absolutely is a dirty dude. But I'm saying that you can use the Me Too to kind of like change the political landscape. I think you can also use it to like get that divorce faster, everybody's outraged and the victim, and no one's going to stand up for you, right? So, but in a town like California where there is a sexual economics to the place, I don't know what to tell you. I want to see the Me Too's where the guys are like, "Hey, Brad Pitt, doodle that guy to get that role." And they're like, see, everybody's doing it," which makes the question: Hey, if some dude or some lady in Hollywood was like, "I'll put you in this movie if you do sexy sexness with me," and no one would know but you, would you do it? Who knows? You'd be sitting up on getting $20 million a movie after that, right? Would you do it? I think a lot of people would. I mean, we're not. It's not the 1500s, but people are shocked. All right, everybody's watching Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton do essentially like homemade porn flakes and still make a ton of cash. I mean, who wouldn't? But then some people will try and fail at it, right? Because nobody's interested and no one cares. Not all people sex tape people watch, right? You're like, oh, and then that person can go, oh, I'm the victim of what happened here, and then the lawyers can go up, see, you know what, he's the bad dude, and then you can get paid. There's a ton of ways that this can pay off for you if quote unquote play your cards right. Um, yeah, I think the whole environment of it is sort of it's a little what's the word I'm looking for? It's playing prim and proper with something that we have always known was a thing in the society. I mean, it's called the oldest profession, and it's not always money that changes hands. Sometimes it's deeds. Sometimes it's I don't know. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We've been streaming for 56 minutes. We were only going to stream for like 20 minutes because it's September 11th. And we knew we didn't have a lot of news to look at because all the news was going to be the same thing. I would love to tell you about Netflix or Hulu or Amazon movies, but I kind of don't do that. I do like Star Trek and Star Wars, but there's a ton of people talking about that all the time. Oh man, did we miss it? Yes, we did. When is sunset tomorrow?
Sunset tomorrow will be at 7:16 p.m.
All right, just a minute. Okay, so but it's it's it is what it is, man. Um, Try not to be fooled by some of this. And there's always, like I said, there's always bold women who will tell you, "Hey, I'd sex that guy, and I'd sex his brother, and I don't care what you think," right? And those people always get a crowd of, "Ooh, you're awesome! Oh, look at her, that girl is saucy. I love her. Her Marilyn Monroe way, her Mae West way, her, you know, I don't know who else to do who you have out here who is openly being well, back in the day, it was a flirty thing. Now it's just openly. You want to see my boobies? You want to see my vajujul? Right. So I don't know what the young people do for like alluring, but like people like that, right? Versus the person who is prim and proper and won't laugh at a as a saucy joke, right? So that's where we are. People like the riskiness, right? But I mean, how risky can it be if it's not even risky anymore, right? It's not flirting is well, flirting. Um, Not flirting is dead. What's the word I'm looking for? Teasing, right? Teasing is dead. Now everything is completely like in your face and are we going to do this thing or not kind of thing. So nobody's flirting. No one teasing. No one like woohoo, right? It's like, hey, you want to do this right now? So that's a new era that you're in, and we'll see what happens because you know maybe love being a mystery is was a thing for a group. Now it's the mystery is no mystery. All right, so we're gonna close this. We're gonna dim this. Oh, having trouble with this thing again. Here we go. There you go. All right, we're gonna cut this on. Um, and we're gonna begin to wrap this thing up. Ooh, we're gonna begin to wrap this thing up. Uh, we don't. I guess it's good that we don't really have news on this quiet Saturday night. Everything is 9/11 today. Everything is 9/11. Called my sister, called my mom, called one of my sisters, called my mom. It was a quiet Saturday. That's why I would rather think about this Saturday. Quiet and not what's the word I'm looking for? Not complicated. Quiet and not complicated. I wish everyone a good today, as long as it lasted, or whatever remains of it. Excuse me. Whatever remains of it. I would I would warn you against falling into a 9/11 rabbit hole of videos and sad stories and all this stuff. I would encourage you to find um, some small way to meditate it yourself on it. And that could be a 10-minute meditation on it, but you don't have to watch 8 hours of it, especially leading up to the day, then all day on the day. And then it'll slowly peter out by like what, Monday, before they start trying to get you psyched for what's the next holiday coming up. I don't even know. Holidays. Excuse me. All right, here we go. We are in September. All right. National Grandparents' Day. Yom Kippur. Carl Gardner Federal Land Cleaning Day. What is this? Holiday and observance in the United States 2021. All holidays and observances. Okay. All right. Let's throw this up there. We'll go here. It says September. So this is what we got. Native American Day, Indian Heritage Day, Michigan Indian Day, September equinox, first day of Sukkot. You suck it. Yom Kippur, Constitution Day, and Citizens Day, September 17th. I don't know any of these days. Shemizi as Asher. There's a lot of Jewish holidays here. Feast of St. Francis. That's not so much Catholic as it is Christian as it is a Catholic holiday. Francis Xavier Cabrini Day. That's a state holiday. Children Health Day. Leif Erikson Day. Chicago Marathon, October 10th. Columbus Day, October 11th. All right. Fraternal Day. What the hell is Fraternal Day? Alabama state holiday. Indigenous Peoples Day. Navy's birthday observance. Dussehra is a Hindu holiday. There's a Hindu holiday on the calendar. Rosa Parks Day, December 1st. Oregon and Ohio. Christmas Eve, state holidays, Christmas Day. Huh. Wow. Well, apparently that was a little too complicated. Uh I mean it had everything listed. Everybody's holidays listed. That seems a little excessive to me. Uh all right, so we've been streaming for an hour and 5 minutes, I guess. This is about where we're gonna close it down. I want to thank Willie for coming through. Um and I want to thank all of you for being here with us on this September 11th, even as we tried not to talk about the politics of it or the incident of it or the trauma still suffered by a lot of people because of it. Uh, I hope you find some good stuff. We'll be back here tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. for the Sunday session where we get close to the Most High. And how do we do that? We just talk good stuff. But again, we may not have a lot to talk about because, like we said, the last 3 days it's been slow news days, and it's all been sort of leading up to like all this stuff about September 11th. So maybe tomorrow's show, which normally goes from 7:30 to about 10:30 11, may go from 7:30 to 8. It might be a half an hour. Uh, but we'll see what happens. I want to thank you for coming through. Please like and subscribe. It's super important. We're here every day, 6:30, Monday through Saturday. Sundays, we're here for the Sunday session at 7:30 a.m. And the Sunday session counts as church, counts as mosque, counts as synagogue, counts as a great spirit, counts as all the good things. And so, yeah, come and get some good things. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow. Please have a good night and have a good night, William. Think of those who are less fortunate and who are trying to get through this day because of that day 20 years ago. And maybe some of that good energy can sort of tip the balance somehow. Yeah, if you believe in prayer, pray for me. I'll accept it. And if you don't, meditate on the issue, which sort of works as prayer. Uh, I'll see you tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. Have a good night, and that's it. Have a good night.